I get asked all the time what really separates a good IELTS essay from a truly great one. And honestly, it's often not about cramming in more complex words or having flawless grammar. The real secret, the thing that unlocks a Band 9 score, happens in a powerful 10-minute window before you even start writing. Let's get into the protocol that expert writers use. Okay, if you look at the official band descriptors, the difference just jumps right out at you. A Band 6 writer, a competent user, addresses all parts of the question, but look at that key phrase, some may be more fully covered. Now compare that to the Band 9 expert. They fully address all parts, with fully extended ideas. That one word, fully, that's the gap we need to cross. And trying to do that without a solid plan, it's practically impossible. And there's a reason for that. Writing on the fly, no matter how fluent you are, is a trap. I mean, former examiners say it all the time. It leads to essays that just kind of drift. They repeat ideas, the logic gets shaky, and the whole thing feels unbalanced. Those are the exact kinds of errors that lock you out of the top bands. The highest scores always come from strategic thinking, not just fast writing. So, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the Band 9 barrier itself. Then, we'll dive deep into the 10-minute protocol and its 3 phases: task analysis, idea development, and linguistic mapping. And finally, we'll see how it all pulls together to create what I like to call the effortless essay. This right here is the heart of the challenge, presenting a fully developed position that stays consistent from the first sentence to the last. See, without a roadmap, your argument can easily end up feeling like a bunch of disconnected points instead of one single powerful case. Let's be really clear about what the examiner is looking for. These are not just helpful suggestions, they're non-negotiable requirements. You have to answer every single part of the question, hold a clear position the whole way through, develop your ideas deeply, and make sure your logic is totally solid. Trying to juggle all of that in real time while you're writing, that's a surefire recipe for a lower score. So that brings us to the solution. A systematic 3-phase protocol that takes just about 10 minutes. And trust me, this isn't lost time. It's an investment that pays off big time by making the actual writing part faster, way clearer, and so much more effective. Now, I know the timeline looks tight, but it is absolutely manageable. The first 3 minutes, that's all about breaking down the question. The next 5 minutes are for building your core arguments. And the last 2 minutes, that's for mapping out the high-level language you're going to use. It's a focused, high-intensity sprint that sets you up for success. And you can see how these 3 steps build on each other, right? They create this really powerful foundation for your essay. First, we define the exact boundaries of the question. Then we build the content inside those boundaries, and finally, we polish how we're going to deliver that content. Every single step is crucial. We kick things off with task analysis. The goal here is just absolute precision. Before you can even think about forming an opinion, you have to know exactly what's being asked. This phase is what stops you from going off topic, a mistake that, believe me, even really strong writers can make under pressure. And I mean this literally. Take your pen and physically underline the key terms. Find those instruction words like discuss, what, or to what extent, and all the key nouns that define the topic. What you're doing is creating a mental fence around the question, making sure every single sentence you write is 100% relevant. And listen, for those double question essays, this is the absolute golden rule. You have to give both questions equal attention and development. If you write a beautiful, detailed paragraph for the first question and then just tack on a quick sentence for the second, you've created an unbalanced essay, and it simply cannot score above a Band 7, no matter how amazing your English is. Okay, next up is idea development, and this is where a lot of people get it wrong. The goal is not to list as many ideas as you can think of. Nope, the goal is to pick just 1 or 2 really strong ideas for each question and then develop them with incredible depth. So, how do you get that depth? With this simple, logical chain. First, you state your main reason. That's the why. Then you explain why it matters, its consequence. That's the so what. And finally, you bring it down to earth with a concrete example, the result. This little structure is the secret to creating that full extension of ideas examiners are looking for. This quote just hits the nail on the head. It smashes that common myth that more is better. Examiners are not impressed by a laundry list of shallow points. They are incredibly impressed by one single, well-chosen idea that is thoroughly explained and supported. Quality of development will beat quantity of ideas every single time. So, how do you organize this in the heat of the moment? A simple grid like this is a total lifesaver. It forces you to map out one main idea for question 1 and one for question 2, along with how you'll develop them and what examples you'll use. This pretty much guarantees you'll have a balanced, logical essay before you've even written the introduction.
All right, the final planning stage is linguistic mapping. This is where we shift from what you're going to say to how you're going to say it with real sophistication and precision. This is the polish.
Look at this. The goal is to elevate your language from simple phrases to high-impact ones. And this isn't about just dropping in big words to sound smart. It's about using precise academic collocations, words that just naturally sound right together. Lead to profound implications communicates a much clearer, more academic meaning than just have a big effect. The key here is to be strategic. You don't need dozens of these. During your planning, just identify 3 or 4 high-level phrases that are relevant to the topic. By picking them out beforehand, you can weave them into your sentences smoothly so they sound completely natural and not forced.
And this precision extends to your grammar, too. A Band 9 writer shows they have control over a whole range of structures. A clef sentence, for instance, is a fantastic way to add emphasis. Just changing "technology has altered education" to "it is technology that has altered education" instantly signals a higher level of grammatical command. It's a real pro move.
And here's another one. Using negative inversion not only does this, is a super sophisticated alternative to the standard sentence. Planning to use just one clef sentence and one inversion and using them correctly is a clear, actionable way to show the examiner you have the grammatical flexibility they're looking for at the top band. So after all this detailed, rigorous planning, what's the end result? It's an essay that feels cohesive, logical, and almost effortless to read. All the hard work is done up front, which makes the final product just flow beautifully. And this, right here, is the ultimate goal. This is a direct quote from the official marking criteria. When your structure, your logic, and your linking words are so good that the reader doesn't even notice them, you've achieved true mastery. The mechanics of the essay become invisible, which lets your ideas shine through with total clarity. So to wrap it up, those 10 minutes you invest in this protocol, they pay off in every single marking category. Your task response is complete, your coherence and cohesion is flawless, and it allows your vocabulary and grammar to be showcased naturally and effectively, creating a seriously powerful and convincing argument. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Is your current writing process designed for competence, or is it designed for expertise? A competent writer can produce an essay. An expert writer engineers one. By adopting a strategic planning protocol like this, you're not just answering a question anymore. You're truly mastering it.